Real Kick Radio.
And now, for the first time in history, you have a man who can make you jump up off your chairs, raise your filthy fat little hands in the air, and scream, "Go, Jericho, go! Go, Jericho, go! Go, Jericho, go!" Thank you. The new millennium has arrived. And now that the Y2J problem is here, this company will never, ever be the same again.
Come on, you know I got ya. Yeah, one, break the wall, break down the walls. I put down your back, what you want, baby. You know that you miss and now you're free. Baby, what I got is life from the least. Bring it to the stage in the rage of the beast. Step into the arena and break the wall, yeah. Step into the arena and break the wall, yeah.
I'm the man of 1,004 holds. It is the whole fucking show on Real Kid Radio. Twitter.com/fucking show. Whole fucking show on Facebook. The whole fucking show.info. I am Kevin Scampoli, or in the EFED universe, I'm known as Ivan Cage or Giant Johnson. I'm a 3-time IW champion. I defeated Anthony Cutler, Zachman, Ike Noble, Stefan Waters. I have a lot of titles. And who am I joined by?
I am Danny Richardson. In the EFED world, if we're going to go that route, I was Primetime. I was the Exhibition of Excellence and the original Icon. And I don't remember any of the feds I was in. I ran one, but I don't remember any of the ones I was in. So I'm just going to ignore all those claim to fames there.
Wasn't running an EFED the worst? And what's with Icon? I was the modern day Icon, Ivan Cage. And really?
That was the catchphrase back then, because Hulk Hogan was the Icon, and then HBK was the Icon.
Yeah, there's something about being an icon that you can have a lot of pride in that. And you can also act like no one's ever done it before. Plus, the modern day icon stems from Omen, one of my nemesises, went by the name of the modern day Lucifer. So I was kind of taking a dig at him. I was a pretty edgy EFED wrestler, if I can say so myself. But Danny Richardson, I'm going to go by your real name if that's okay.
Sure thing.
Let's begin with the whole fucking show. This is a new venture we're going on Real Kid Radio. And I think the best way to begin a sports entertainment podcast is with the most basic of all questions, because this question not only sums you up as a wrestling fan, but also as a human being. Who is your all-time favorite wrestler?
All times, everything put together, I have to go with Shawn Michaels. Like growing up, it was Ultimate Warrior, and then it became Shawn Michaels, and I used to be torn. Like, which one was I going to pick for all time? You know, it's like, who do I really love the most? And then Warrior became this, right-wing nut job and changed his name to Warrior. And that made it a lot easier. That hands down all time, it's Shawn Michaels.
Don't you feel a little stupid kind of thinking about that now, though? Like, why would Warrior even be in this discussion with HBK? How does that even happen?
It was all they had to offer back then. That was my alternative. Everybody was the Hulk Hogan fan growing up, and then it was me and one of the neighbor kids across the street. We were the only ones that, we felt we were cool enough to go against the grain, and we were going to be Ultimate Warrior fans.
My brother.
So we just rode that out into WrestleMania 6, where we just got to rub it into every kid in the neighborhood that was over at our house, because we had the illegal scrambler for our satellite dish, so we got all the pay-per-views for free.
Yeah. Oh, we had that too. Back then, I was a fan at the best time when you could steal cable. So I had every pay-per-view. But before I answer what should be an obvious answer, I mean, how can you even ask I'm a little insulted this is a question, even though I asked it. As far as WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, isn't it great? Hulk Hogan has the reputation of not putting people over, keeping young guys down, whatever. That the guys he chose to put over are all basically the same guy, just the unbeatable, energetic guitar entrance theme guy who runs to the ring. And basically Hulk Hogan will only put over Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg, or Brock Lesnar. If they look larger than life, then he'll lay down for them.
Do you think it's like he sees something in them? Like he's like, oh, this guy's just like me. Because if you think of everybody else he ever fought nobody was built like him. They're either 400 pounds, they're 7 feet tall, whatever. But like he looked at those guys and he was like, this guy's just like me. He deserves to win. Like that was his ideal. Who should be on top, and those were the only people worthy of beating Hulk Hogan.
I think if he wasn't a wrestler, he'd be the worst wrestling fan friend you have. Like, he likes all the shitty guys. Like, I know you're a Brock Lesnar fan, and I don't even want to know your opinion on Goldberg because it might cause a feud in real life that will never be fixed. But I hate these types of wrestlers. The Warrior is kind of an exception because, I don't know, something about that time period, that character, he's, even looking back now, he's a great character to watch. But I think what Hogan's mindset is that, whoa, all right, so there's this great Shawn Michaels. I'm going to beat him when I'm 60 by having me punch him once and him sell it like The Rock getting a stunner. And I don't think he had a respect for those types of people who could put on like a Ric Flair, who put on a great match and not just to win. It seems like the Hulk Hogan needs like a living hurricane, a hurricane and a human being he wants to always be over, is my impression of the whole thing, where he can lose with dignity to somebody who's unbeatable.
And I think the first sign of that would be like WrestleMania 9, where everybody, came to head where it was clear that Bret Hart was going to be, the next guy for the company.
Yep.
And Hogan, didn't want to do that. And they both have different sides of the story. But Hogan didn't want to lay down for Bret, and I feel like you can tell Dan he looked at Bret and thought, well, this guy's not, he doesn't have the muscle I do.
Right,
and,
right.
He's
walks
not the same
to the
kind
ring.
of character. So this guy didn't deserve to be champion.
This guy's a wrestler. What's happening here? And as far as all-time favorite wrestler, I'm not without me answering with my number one. Who's your number two?
Oh, I don't know if I was ready for that one. You know what? Mick Foley.
Really? Because part of me, and first of all, mine's Shawn Michaels, number one. It has to be. For one, we were kids in that time. We were, not that we ever knew each other, but we grew up living the same life on different sides of the country, different time zones.
It's a little weird how parallel it was at times.
Yeah, it's. I was just doing stuff 3 hours before you, and then like after 3 hours later, you do the same thing. So that time when you got stung by that bee must have been the worst. I know. It happened to me.
Yeah, especially since I'm allergic to them. So that was way worse for me than it was for you.
You know what? I'll never put you over then, because some weak piece of shit who dies over a bee sting can't put me down with at all. Yokozuna, get over here. But anyway.
I'm the real life Macaulay Culkin.
You know what? I don't want to build too many nicknames, but that's now your nickname.
I'm using that in the outro.
Primetime Macaulay Culkin. Just give me a second. No, but what was I saying? We lived the same lives across the country, and we grew up when Shawn Michaels was the babyface, the John Cena who put on great matches, and he was our lives. My life was every month after the pay-per-view, because at this time, like, I was still young, so we didn't steal cable yet. And I don't know, my brother, who's older, who ended up stealing the cable, didn't like wrestling at this time. He was a big Ultimate Warrior fan. Then he fell out of it and came back with Steve Austin like everyone else. So during that time, I was left alone on the wrestling island with my little kid friends. We loved Shawn Michaels. And every month it was in reading class, did Shawn Michaels win? And you said it knowing the answer was going to be yes, because he was a god. He was everything. He was the sexy boy. And it's funny how that song isn't the gayest thing. How is I'm Just a Sexy Boy not the gayest thing you've ever heard?
If anything, it's become, I mean, maybe people that have come later into wrestling or were older back then, maybe they don't see the same, but for me, it's probably one of the greatest entrance songs of all time. So? I couldn't tell you how many times I've been in my living room and done the pose. You lean to your side and flex. I do that. In front of somebody that's watching TV. Like, I don't care. Like, I just feel the need, and I gotta strike the Shawn Michaels pose.
I wish you could tell me how many times, but fine. If you can't, then we'll move on. But with with that song, like, my girlfriend, who's now pregnant with my child, she never was exposed to wrestling before me. She's this person who lived a human being's life, like the life you're supposed to live. You just kind of don't know about wrestling. So I told her, like, Shawn Michaels is my guy. That's why I call him my guy. And I have the Shawn Michaels book, the Heartbreak and Triumph DVD from the vault. I don't have the new one yet. I need it. But she hears that song, and she doesn't have the filter. She doesn't have the filter of growing up with it. It's new to her. So she hears it, and it's the gayest song. And also, I didn't really realize how catchy it was, because for the last week, I've been obsessed with wrestling again. I just got back in, and we'll get into all that, our wrestling timelines as human beings. I'm getting back in strong, and the whole week I've just been going, I think I'm cool. I'm really sexy. And then you change the lyrics. I'm just a sexy dude. Sexy dude. And I'll just be at the computer doing that. It's not the right words. And like at first she would laugh. Like, haha. Now she just kind of ignores it. I'm just a sexy dude.
Does she think that the Sherry Martel version is a little less homo, or? No.
I played that to her for the first time. And, at least Shawn Michaels gets the pass with that. But what was that recording session where I guess when you're a heel at that time, he just wants to be as hateable as possible, and that'll do it. But why did he keep it? Like, it's like Thriller. You see Michael Jackson white doing a lip sync of a black guy. Like, all right, HBK, you grew up a little bit. Maybe evolve. He had the DX song for a while, but this other one just keeps coming back.
And it was a great way when he was trying to be a bad guy, and I feel like it helped go into the DX persona when they were first trying to be bad guys and stuff, because nothing confuses pisses wrestling fans off more than you confusing them sexually.
Yes,
like that is the quickest way to anger a wrestling crowd.
Chris Jericho,
to make them think that you might be attractive.
Shawn Michaels, it's so and doing it well is hard, because if you do it well, like Shawn, and again, I was a kid, so I didn't know then what was happening, really. And even now, I don't even know if he did it that well. But, I mean, Chris Jericho did it great with his ponytails and stuff. Shawn Michaels, I'm just going to say he did it great. But if you do it badly, like, I'm just going to say, can I throw Rick Martel out there as doing it badly, or am I wrong? Is he a great gimmick?
No, that was a horrible gimmick, but... also at the time though, when I watched him when I was a kid, I don't feel like I got that he was, a little queer or whatever. Like I never thought that there was anything not manly about it.
Right.
I just thought the guy was arrogant. Like I wasn't, old enough to pick up on
gay
what
was
they
arrogant.
were going for.
Yeah, I hate these arrogant guys with their perfumes and their oiled up bodies. Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. And that's probably why we love Shawn Michaels so much, because there's no reason for us to think that's gay. We're just kids. We're emulating it. It's our parents that are worried. And with HBK, oh man, when he won that title, first of all, you were there. You've told me this.
Yes. WrestleMania 12.
You've also told me in a separate conversation, you've never cried because of wrestling. How did you not cry that night?
I don't know. It's weird. We went to it. It was Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim. And we went to that. It was me, my brother, and then my cousin, who didn't even watch wrestling at the time. He just came along because we had a third ticket, and we didn't know any other wrestling fans in '96 to who we could give it to. And so we all went to that, and I was just so sure he was going to win, though, the whole time, because I was doing this math that to me made sense at the time, but I try to explain it to people now, and they're like, well, that doesn't really mean anything. But at WrestleMania 6, which we already covered, was Ultimate Warrior, that who was known his whole career. You looked at him as an Intercontinental champ against Hulk Hogan, who was a heavyweight champ, and it was the first time ever. It was good guy versus good guy, and then Ultimate Warrior wins. Well, going into this match, it's WrestleMania 12. It's 6 years later after WrestleMania 6. Shawn Michaels, always known as an Intercontinental champ, against Bret Hart, who was known as the heavyweight champ. And it was good guy versus good guy, probably the second time they'd ever really done that. And I was just sure. I'm like, oh, they're just repeating history. Like, Shawn's going to win. I just knew it going into it.
I hate your little kid self already. This math annoys me. You're annoying me with your math. I hate that if I ever meet this kid.
I knew it the whole time.
And how did you not cry? Just because you kind of felt like you knew what happened? It was going to happen?
The easy answer would be that I'm not a pussy. But the other, I don't know. I wasn't, was it? Because it was a good thing, when you were upset and you cried, it was you took it personally that Shawn Michaels had lost to Steve Austin.
Do you like how I'm like, by the way, I hate your math, that how didn't you cry? Like, the crying was the cool thing. And
could you cry right now for me?
The only time, could you please just cry, because you owe me a cry for not crying that day. But yeah, with Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, we brought this up on the commentary on the whole fucking show.info. I cried after that match, and this was, we're beyond the age of doing silly wrestling math. I mean, now we're at the age where we know it's fake.
Yeah.
We know, and basically, like how we knew Shawn Michaels was going to win, there was nothing more obvious than Stone Cold winning that match. Still, all of this, I cried afterwards. Now, again, at that age too, of being a kid, we didn't really. Well, you were 15 around that time when Shawn Michaels won the belt. I was 12.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're still in this age group, but I was in the age where I didn't really get the reality of wrestling or the fakeness of it. So, like when Brian Pillman died, I was like, yeah, fuck him, he's a piece of shit. And like when Goldust was sad about it, I was like, why are you sad? You were feuding with him. You tried to take your wife.
Yeah, he took your wife, and then like, wasn't Pillman gonna have to wear? Or were they already doing that? The bit where he had to wear a dress?
Yeah, that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about the high-flying Brian Pillman. All I knew was this fucking dick who was messing with the great Goldust and Marlena, and I was so happy when he died. So when they did like this tribute, I was like, why are they ringing the bell for an evil Hitler asshole?
You're like, have you guys not been watching the show?
Yeah, hey, Lawler, weren't you just mad at him? Well, actually, I think Lawler liked him at the time, obviously.
And you know what I'll always take away from that, and nobody ever acknowledges? So that was the card where every Hart, of the Hart Foundation, everybody had a match, and they all had stipulations to each of their matches.
Yeah.
And Jim Neidhart was the only one that didn't have a match. But Jim Neidhart wanted to get on the bandwagon and said that if anybody from the Hart Foundation lost their match, he was going to shave his beard.
Are you kidding? What? I don't remember that.
I swear to God. And then so, like, I think 2 of the Hart Foundation guys lost that night. But because of Pillman's death, they come back on Raw the next night, and they just gloss over that whole storyline. And Jim Neidhart is gone for, like, a little while. They never acknowledge he needs to shave his beard. Nothing. Like, it just never got touched on. It's like they were going to go somewhere with it, and then they just didn't. I always wanted to see him without that filthy thing off his chin.
I never want to see him. As a wrestling fan, I gloss over Jim Neidhart altogether. Like, if I look up a wrestler now on Wikipedia and see they were trained by Jim Neidhart, I dismiss their career. Like, I don't care if you're the Ring of Honor champion right now. You need to go back and retrain. And
I saw him wrestle probably 3-4 years ago. We were at this little arena. It probably held, at max, it could hold like 400 or 500 people. And he was wrestling for this company. I think he was out of LA. And he came out, and I don't know if you've seen Neidhart in a while. You would not believe how much weight he put on.
Really?
And as he's coming out, he trips at the entranceway and falls down. And it takes him like longer to get up on his feet than it did for the rest of the entrance. And like you could not get past that the rest of the night. It was part of like your childhood. You were just like, oh, this guy's so drunk right now. Yeah. And the match was just horrible. He fought this guy that was like a generic Ultimate Warrior, but with like the Hercules Hernandez chain around his neck. And they would do a few moves. And you could tell Neidhart would get so tired during the match that the opponent, the Warrior ripoff, he would come out of the ring, grab his chain, and run around the crowd acting like he's going to hit people with it, just so that Neidhart could get back up on his feet and catch his breath.
When Neidhart fell down on the entrance, did his song have to restart as he was getting up?
No, they just kept going, and then the bad guy, plays it up in the ring trying to get you to look at him and not at Neidhart. And it's like, you're like, there's probably 110 people in here right now. Everything you say, everybody else in the arena can yell. So, I mean, it becomes a competition where everybody's just like, it's like, get the fuck up, badass. And then other people would laugh and they'd try to say something. There was nothing they could do to take that attention away. Like, we were all dead set on, we're just going to laugh at this guy and how low his career is gone.
He was a great stand-up comic for a night. And what would have been great, too, is if he fell down and he was struggling to get up, he just decided to roll the rest of the way. All right, I'm going to make it down to this ring. Just pin me.
He could have just played that into his character somehow.
I've been to those local shows and those like local school arenas or whatever, local small places are really depressing. As a kid, I went to see The Undertaker, and it was this is a great story I wish my brother could tell. He worked at a pizza shop in town. Small town of Abington, Massachusetts. And it was Crush, I think. Someone from the DOA was playing The Undertaker as a character. And he came into that pizza shop with like his manager, and the manager was going, "It's The Undertaker. Look at him. Look." And they're just like, "That's not The Undertaker. We watch wrestling." So I went to this event. I don't remember who he wrestled, but I was taking a piss, and all of a sudden the match came into the bathroom. I was like, what's going on?
Shit.
The match was spilling around the arena like that was supposed to make it better.
That doesn't work when you don't have monitors.
Oh, right. So people are just following it, but also really creeped out and scared of the situation.
Did a bunch of people run into the bathroom?
Yeah. Luckily, and I'm
awesome.
convinced that's where my bathroom phobias come from. I can't piss with anyone in there, and it's just very uncomfortable.
What if that just happened at not a wrestling event where you're at like the mall and you're in the bathroom and you're going, and then like a wrestling match just spills over into the bathroom?
That might as well have been it. It would probably be a lot better match too. I'm at the point where I have to rub the tip of my penis just to go in a public bathroom. It's so scary, and it has to be because Crush came in and was beating up a jobber. But also, I saw Goldust versus Val Venus at a recent. Not recent, but at a local, not recent at all, a local little place when Val Venus was still in his porn star gimmick. Goldust. And by the way, how did we not bring up Goldust when talking about gay wrestlers?
Oh, I thought I was going to say in early 95, was there anybody like more hated, but for the wrong reasons than Goldust? Like, you didn't hate him because he did bad guy stuff and cheated or anything. You hated him because he made you uncomfortable.
What's worse, his dad hated him for that same reason. His dad wouldn't talk to him because he was this gay wrestler.
Yeah.
And
he was an embarrassment.
What was it like for you to see him in the brown panties live at WrestleMania 12? Did you know what you were seeing? Well, you were 15, right?
Yeah. No, I was 13 at the time.
Oh, right.
To go to that match, to go to that show, I was in 8th grade, and we had our big trip. We got to go to Six Flags, and I went to Six Flags on that morning. It was like a Saturday, and I cut out halfway through the trip so that my parents could come pick me up from there, and then like we could be on our way to Anaheim because it was like on the way.
Right.
I was like, well, let me go to Six Flags, and then when you guys are ready, you come get me. And I got like this event was more important to me than the stupid Six Flags trip that I probably would have remembered for the rest of my life as well.
Did you know what you were seeing though when you saw a man in brown panties?
I did.
Did you boo? Did you boo him?
It was so weird and awkward and like. And at the time, I don't know if I got it as much then as I do now, but like you go back and you watch that match now, and it's very just like I don't know. It's all about gay bashing and everything. Where Piper's just really mad that this guy is hitting on him, and he like tries to run him over with a car.
Yeah.
At the time, you're like, yeah, fucking kill him. Like that guy tried to kiss you.
Yeah, kill that fucking faggot. And
so I think we were all in just disbelief because that's pre-Attitude Era where nothing like that.
Right. What a great character. Now that we talk about it, Goldust was revolutionary.
Absolutely, he may be the kickstart for the Attitude Era.
He's the best, like, because we're talking about people who do the gay thing right and well, whatever, and do it terrible. Like, he used both of those. He did it so good in the beginning, and then he just kept doing it, and his career fizzled away as things got more risky.
And he kept finding ways to like reinvent it though, where he brought in like Luna Vachon. And he changed his outfits, and he would come dressed differently every time. He was finding ways to keep himself alive. He lasted a long time under essentially the same gimmick. Where, most people that are mid-carders, if you're never moving up, you got to change your gimmick, 3 or 4 times sometimes.
Well, he was Intercontinental Champion, and he was legitimate around his early years. And then it turned into reinventing himself, was just putting black makeup on. And like around he did get a rebirth with Shattered Dreams, that finisher that was everyone loved. But then he just like, Goldust is going to lose to somebody again. And it turned into like you respect him for being around so long, but then you wonder why he's still around. But was he a director or was he gay? Like, I didn't understand which thing they were rolling with. Was he a gay director who did porn movies? Or like they had him like a Shattered Dreams production. But then he was a gay guy who wore bras. So what was
was he the director or was Marlena the director? Because she got to sit in the director's chair and smoke the cigar.
That's a good question. And was Marlene... Now I'm going to start Googling as we discuss. Because I always took it as... Like, he would do promos about how it was going to be a great production. So I always thought he was the director.
Maybe he's the producer.
And how creepy was it in his first match? Like, he had great promos leading up to his... Look at us loving Goldust. But he had some great promos. Like, who is this guy in his wig? But when I was a kid, I thought that was his hair. So
we may have to do the Goldust Roddy Piper match commentary.
Oh, definitely. We should do that.
Put that on the list.
I will. But yeah,
I don't know if you knew or like you remember, but like when they did all the promos, like you're saying, when they hyped it up, he wore the wig.
Yeah.
And then his first match, he just throws the wig off.
Thank you.
I think I spent the whole match trying to go, what happened to his hair? Like, I couldn't understand what just happened.
That's exactly what I was leading up to. I thought that was his hair, like as a kid, as a dumb kid.
Yeah, it fooled me.
When he pulled that wig off, I was that creeped me out more than any gay thing he ever did.
Do you think they knew the effect that was going to have? Or did they expect that we all got that was a wig?
I think they expected us all to think it was a wig. Like, I think that was an accidental home run by them. Because and then I started thinking how chubby he looked all of a sudden. Like, I was just creeped out by his appearance. Who's this chubby bald guy with a wig? And his wife is actually kind of hot. As a kid, I started to think those things. And, I think it was an accident that was just a perfect moment for that character.
And I remember that because of his character, like at least in our circle, we were all scared to say that Marlena was hot because everybody was convinced we were going to find out it was a guy.
Yeah, yeah.
We all thought because you looked at her. I mean, they did her makeup real heavy, and her hair kind of covered her face a lot. And we just were like, no, it's a dude. It's totally a dude. It's got to be a dude. Like everybody was convinced it's a guy, so nobody would ever say like how hot she was.
Yeah, there was nothing for me at that time, even though I was a kid, and there really was nothing sexy about that character. And then they turned it later on, of course, they turned it around wonderfully, where she was probably the main sex symbol in the company at some point as Terry Reynolds. But yeah, what a creepy manager she was. What a male-looking female. But as far as our all-time favorite wrestlers, so we're both Shawn Michaels.
My number 2 is Mick Foley.
I think the reason why I brought it up, we mentioned Bret Hart at the time, and part of me wants to say Bret Hart.
If you say Bret Hart, I'm going to disconnect this right now.
See, I kind of feel like it's Bret Hart. I don't know why.
What? You can't like both.
Bret Hart in the ring, there's a fluidity to his moves where a Russian leg sweep, even his punches, they look, his leg drops, his elbow off the second rope, they look a lot better than anyone else's any move.
The best thing to ever happen to wrestling was Bret Hart's stroke. There.
It's great.
That's where I stand. You can't like both. And probably the worst thing I ever saw in wrestling was them two hugging it out like a year ago or whatever. That made me so sick to my stomach.
Well,
if there wasn't a super kick to cap that off, then I didn't want any part of that.
The definite worst thing to happen to wrestling was Shawn Michaels finding Jesus. So I think we found the spectrum. So the best thing was Bret Hart's stroke. The worst thing was Shawn Michaels finding Jesus. Everything we talk about from here on out will be on that scale. Now,
it's somewhere where it lies in between those two things.
Yeah, in between is, I want to make another Goldust reference, but I feel like we've beaten that. We need to never discuss Goldust again. Yeah, I don't know. And also part of me, it's weird. I've never been a Bret Hart fan, but part of me likes his matches, and also Randy Savage. I've never been a Savage fan, but I love, like, his in-ring ability it seems really underrated for that character.
Yeah. Well, everybody always praises Savage Steamboat as, like, one of the greatest matches. And if you go back, it's not that great. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But it has a shitty finish with like George Animal Steel pushing him off the rope and he loses because of that. Like, so like, but a lot of his matches are really good. You watch him with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 5 is really good. Him with the Ultimate Warrior was good. Yes. Way overlooked match. You know, I mean, he drops like 4 or 5 elbows on the way. I mean, it's just a great storytelling in all his matches.
It's very annoying how I hate like when anyone gets up from a finisher, it's annoying whether it be Warrior getting up from Triple H's pedigree at WrestleMania 12 or Warrior getting up from 4 elbow drops. Basically, any Warrior moment is now the middle point between Bret Hart's awesome stroke and Shawn Michaels' terrible save face. Also, I'm going to put George Animal Steel somewhere in the middle too. So that'll be our scale. But I hate when the finisher gets disrespected. The finisher, like when I'm playing a SmackDown versus Raw, finisher power all the way up because that ends the match. I don't care if it's 5 seconds in. And I wish they had an option where you could do finisher power, then finisher pay-per-view power because you're going to kick out most likely at WrestleMania.
Yeah. and more than once. And then also you should be required to have to do the other person's finisher because that's now the thing to do. Like that's been the thing for like the last 10 years is you got to do the other person's finisher to them as well, and then they can kick out of their own finisher.
I cannot pick a number 2 favorite wrestler. I can't commit because I'm going through these names. I can't give you
Bret Hart. If you said it, I'll just pretend you didn't say anything.
I'll just
keep asking you who it is.
Let's leave it. He's in the running. He's in my 5. Savage, I don't even know if he's in my 5. It's so hard for me to pick a number 2 because Shawn Michaels has always just been it. And then
were you not a Mick Foley guy? Like, I mean, from 96 to 2000. I mean, that guy gave so much. I could watch all his matches over again.
I love Foley. You can't not love Foley. But this is another a wonderful story of me being an idiot. Like how I cried with Shawn Michaels losing the belt. I was there when Mick Foley won the title for the first time in Boston.
On the Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, when Austin's music hit and he interfered, hit The Rock. First of all,
holy shit, that's a big moment to have been there. That's a pretty like pinnacle part of wrestling because that's the night that the ratings changed.
You need to remember that because the way I reacted is a blasphemous reaction of an idiot. First of all, I gotta say, Stone Cold's music hitting, the volume was bigger than Kane's pyro. This was.
Did you turn into the Miz girl? Were you just?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. No way.
Were you just pissed off that you're like, what's that guy doing out here?
You are so on the money. I didn't even make that comparison, but I need to emphasize that no wrestler has ever gotten a reaction like Stone Cold on this night. You even watch it again. It was so like the ground shook. I was sitting there when I guess he wasn't on TV for 10 months. It was a big deal. And it's also the only time music has played for someone to interfere. Like, here I come. I'm going to interfere. But when Mick Foley won, I guess I was a huge Rock fan. I was really loving heels at this time.
Yeah.
I sat there like 3 Mrs. girls rolled into one with a dick on them. I had a bowl haircut. I was the faggiest little kid. I had a Kane shirt on. I had a Kane sign. And I sat
if only they had caught you on camera, like we could have parlayed that into some kind of celebrity here.
Definitely. And we had wonderful seats. So good. Jim was on the entrance ramp. You can actually see him in a few shots where he was grabbing guys' hands as they were walking by.
Oh, I'm going back to watch that.
So, I'm sitting there. Jim, everyone jumps up screaming. I'm the only one sitting there with my arms crossed, looking down as Mick Foley is running around the ring, holding up his title, just loving it. And I'm the only one miserable in this whole fucking arena.
And that is, the match alone and the moment alone is really great. Like, it was a great moment. They built it well, it was, big thing for Mick Foley to win the belt. He was like it's kind of the time it was weird. Like he was kind of the ultimate underdog. Like he was main event, but you never thought he was the main event that was going to hold the belt.
Yeah.
But like I try to, like I'm still in that phase. Like I'm married and I'm trying to convince her that she needs to love wrestling like a quarter as much as I do. Like when I turn it on, I need her to not pick up her book or her Nintendo DS. I need her to pay attention so she can learn to love it.
Does she fight it at all, or what happens with
Absolutely.
that?
It's weird. Like, she's not open about what she does enjoy. Like, we'll be watching it, and she's reading on the couch, and I look over, and she's looking up at the TV to see what John Cena has to say. Yeah. And I go, see? You were watching it. She goes, no, I wasn't. I wasn't watching. And she's dead serious, but she will refuse to admit that I caught her looking at the TV.
Yeah, with the pregnant girlfriend, I am at a point where I'm talking about wrestling all the time. I'm singing the Shawn Michaels song. Every time we go to sleep, there's a wrestling match on now. And she loves John Morrison. That's all I've got her to admit, is that she likes John Morrison.
Yeah, and that could be an easy one to get people into, because how do you not enjoy, like, he's entertaining to watch at all times, because he's got that you never know what he's going to do element.
And I love to tease her about Johnny Nitro and how he's the worst. But yes, and she hates The Miz and she likes John Cena. And I got her to admit to some things, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a point where it's building up to like, get the fuck. There's kids in the crowd. It's all kids. And like, I bought onesies for our unborn daughter. I got a John Cena.
I saw the pictures of those.
I got The Miz. Awesome. I am so back into this. It must be painful for her to experience because she watches it with me. But I wonder, I actually kind of feel like she's getting into it.
Are you anxious to raise a kid to watch wrestling?
Oh, no. Yeah. I thought you...
isn't that going to be awesome? Like,
yeah, for some reason I heard you say, are you like nervous? But no, I'm so into it.
By by genetic nature, I don't know, like fucking love wrestling. Like it doesn't take anything to sit a kid down when they're young enough and be like, look at this, and they're all in.
I was with another woman who had a child before, and this was around the Umaga time, Umaga versus Cena. And I remember we were sitting on the bed. This kid was like 13 months with a bottle, staring intent. Like the only thing this kid would watch was Baby Einstein. He hated everything. When Umaga came out and beat the shit out of Cena, the kid would. This is what he would do. He'd sit there staring at it with the bottle, and then he'd just go, ah! Start drinking again. Like he'd scream at the TV, and I was so happy because she hated wrestling. I go, look, if you stay with me, not only am I going to molest your kid, but we're going to watch wrestling together. That was the best. I'm like Gold Dust a little bit in my personal life. So before we, all right, all-time favorite wrestler. I will take a pass on number 2. We'll get into that another time.
We'll find you one. Maybe you need a little more time to do some soul searching. And
I think what it is,
you don't have to say McFoley, but you can't say Bret Hart. That's my rule.
I think it's because I'm embarrassed because in reality it's probably Kane. Like I loved Kane.
That's okay. Like a lot of people like Kane. I mean they're not usually very smart people, but a lot of people like Kane.
I'm very conscious of the internet's opinion on wrestlers and also what people think of my opinion. So my real top 5 is probably the worst. And
like you can't like John Cena because then you're looked down by everybody on the internet. But unless you're doing it to be ahead of the curve, where it's cool to like the guy that everybody hates, like you're trying to double switch it on them, then it's okay to like John Cena.
What are your thoughts on him right now?
I like him. I think the PG thing is holding him back. And, I know it's easy to say because he did the rap battle thing, or he did the rap thing, 2 weeks ago. And you got to see, you're like, oh, like that's kind of what John Cena would be like. Minus the rapping part. But I mean, like he, just getting to swear makes his character come off less corny.
I can't
and
disagree more.
If they put him in darker colors, get rid of the purple.
No, what are you talking about? I hate you. Listen.
Do you hate me because I like John Cena or because I don't like his purple shirt?
I bought that John Cena onesie because I like the shirt that's purple and I like him. Here's why. John Cena as a rapper was one of the reasons part of the perfect storm of me not liking wrestling. I hated the white rapper forcing. First of all, he wasn't a rapper as far as I could tell.
No, he talked in rhymes. That's all it is.
But also before that, I don't believe he had any interest in the subject. It was a forced, created gimmick, which of course wrestling is. But it turned into like now he's doing CDs. He released an album, and it just seemed like it was a created persona. And I don't know why I hate that. I shouldn't as a wrestling fan. Everything is.
I thought it was great for the original purpose it served. It took him from a nobody. He was, ruthless aggression John Cena, who was kind of an interesting character. Like he had good matches with like Kurt Angle, and he was still a nobody. But then, he started doing the rap thing, and it made you interested in him. And I think it got him his purpose. They should have abandoned it a lot sooner than they did.
Yeah, they should have just never done it. I know what you're saying. And maybe that was necessary for him, because when I started to like him was when he started to settle into his real personality. Like, for example, I love Kane because he was really burned. I love Undertaker because he was dead. No, I'm just kidding. Those are all manufactured things I should hate, but I don't. But there's something about a white rapper that unless it's part of your personality, I hate. And also...
it's very unnatural for him. And when he comes out and he does the things like that passes raps, like we said, it's not even rapping. It just it doesn't work for the character.
And here's another hypocrisy of mine. When I hated his rapping to the ring, I love his theme song. I think it's one of the best theme songs. And also, I'm gonna play you a John Cena song, and I think is good now. But anyways, I hated that wrestling character. But as he settled down into what he is now, the kids guy, like. He was being more of himself with the Marine. Sure, he probably wasn't a Marine, but...
I'm not crazy about the wearing the dog tags and doing the... Because it seems like it all came from just doing the movie The Marine.
Right.
And it's like, that doesn't quite make you a Marine.
But there's something about that I accepted that I didn't accept about hip-hop Cena. Like...
Because he has the look. He looks like he could be a Marine. He has the jaw. And like, if I saw that guy in real life, other than like... that he's built better than anybody you'd see in real life. Like, you'd be like, that guy looks like a cop. Like, you'd see that guy and you're like, that's a fucking cop right there. Like, you wouldn't do shit in front of him.
He also...
But, like, he can pull that off. You would never see that guy and be like, I wonder if he's got a rap album.
Yeah, right. And he also has the only haircut I can have now. For some reason, my hairline's to the point where I can only have the John Cena haircut, which is the Marine haircut, so I have a bond. But listen to this song and tell me this is not a good song.
Can I guess it?
Oh, I might have given it away.
I was already going to guess wrong. I thought it was going to be that song that's like Bad Man or whatever.
Don't tell me I'm going to like more songs by him. I just happen to listen to this.
I'm going to sell you on Bad Man after this.
He could be my Justin Bieber. Whoever's writing his songs. Let's see. This hook is pretty legit.
All right.
Oh, shit.
Deals we shine. Deals we sign.
Is that him right there?
Yeah.
That sounds like Nate Dogg.
This is how we roll.
It's legit. I'm starting to like him more now. I feel like if I was a little kid and John Cena was what he is now, he would be my Shawn Michaels. Like, what is that? What's the difference between the John Cena we hate and the Shawn Michaels we love in the end? Is there that much of a difference?
I think it's the time you grew up. I think if we were the same age we were now, we would love John Cena the way we love Shawn Michaels. And then assume that like this PG rating, goes through the cycle and it goes away again and they get edgy again. Imagine where they could take John Cena's character, and then imagine if you were a kid, how much you'd love him even more. Like, as you're growing up with him, it would be the greatest thing to see John Cena evolve.
Don't you kind of think, though, that Shawn Michaels deserves some credit for the years he put in as a heel before that, putting on better matches than anyone else on the undercard? Also, the titles he's had before, like John Cena, part of what I hated was that he immediately got these pushes. There was no, and he seemed very generic to me, and he was getting these pushes as a forced character. Don't you think Shawn Michaels deserves a little more credit for that? And
like if you go back to, I think it's WrestleMania 9, and it's like Shawn Michaels and Tatanka.
Yep.
And Shawn Michaels takes Tatanka to like a great match that has like a great story in it, and like you're like, name one other good Tatanka match. Exactly. See, that's where Shawn should get the credit. Like, when you can carry other people to great matches, and he did he made the Intercontinental belt, I felt like more important than it ever was, with him and Razor Ramon.
What I like too about John Cena now is that with The Rock coming back and him calling him out, they're playing into what wrestling fans don't like about John Cena. He brought the rapping back. He's playing more to the kids with his Fruity Pebble like silliness. Like his jokes are terrible.
I look like Barney's turd thing. Like, none of that stuff's funny. It's kind of hack.
And just his like putting his arm around Miz, like, look at him, like he was just a silly guy now who makes bad jokes. His promos, I think, were good for a couple of years, and now I think what they're doing great is a way to keep him a face, but also what Rock fans hate is they're making him play into these newer fans who probably don't know about the Attitude Era, who love his rapping, who love his silliness, and they're just little kids. So
if you don't know better, if you've never seen otherwise, this is all seems fine.
And so they're going to cheer even harder because he's emphasizing that. Whereas the same people who were booing him at the ECW One Night Stand and who boo him when he punches Triple H and Triple H punches back and they cheer for Triple H.
I love that.
They're going to boo even louder for this character John Cena's like turning up the volume with. So I love that approach to what they're doing. And The Rock is The Rock, so he's gonna get, people love him. But Mr. Danny Richardson, the primetime Macaulay Culkin, we need to wrap up episode 1 of the whole fucking show. I know, we gotta do another one. I am Kevin Scampoli. I'm also known as Ivan Cage on the internet, maybe Giant Johnson in my early years. I'm a 3-time IW champion, defeated Anthony Cutler, Zach Man, Ike Noble, Stephon Waters. I don't know, look it up. You might even find
somewhere those guys are going to listen to this, and they're going to fuck that guy. I remember him.
And we absolutely need to fucking read our old RPs. Do you have any RPs?
I know I have some somewhere.
I do too. We need to read them and see who would win. We need to fuck it. We'll have a new match. Ivan Cage
role play against each other
versus Primetime, whoever, and we'll have whatever audience we build judge on who won. That'll be exciting.
Absolutely.
So the websites are Fucking Podcast on Twitter, The Whole Fucking Show on Facebook, thewholefuckingshow.info. We'll have our videos. We are The Whole Fucking Show.